All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. And a very happy 75th Republic Day to all our listeners and to all the people of India.
Absolutely.
Today, we're focusing specifically on you, UPSC aspirants out there, gearing up for those exams. So let's jump into a range of current events, both within India and internationally, hitting those key topics that just might pop up.
Sounds good.
Let's start with a development in the U.S. that's causing quite a stir, particularly for Indian citizens, the U.S. President's executive order to end birthright citizenship. Now, for those who might not be familiar, birthright citizenship means that anyone born on U.S. soil automatically becomes a U.S. citizen, regardless of their parents' citizenship.
It's been a cornerstone of U.S. law since the 14th Amendment way back in 1868, and it was further solidified by a Supreme Court case in 1898 called United States v. Wong Kim Ark, which upheld this right even for children of non-citizens.
So a pretty big deal then if this executive order goes through.
Huge ramifications. For Indian professionals working in the U.S. on H-1B visas, for those waiting for green cards, think about it. They could have a child born in the U.S. who, under the current system, would automatically be a U.S. citizen. But this executive order throws a wrench in that.
Right, and not just for professionals. What about Indian students studying in the U.S.?
Absolutely. It could impact them as well,
Yep.
potentially discouraging them from pursuing opportunities there.
And what about other countries? Could this shift make places like Canada or Australia, with their points-based immigration systems, more attractive to Indian professionals and students?
Yeah, potentially. Stability and predictability in immigration policies are super important, so this move could definitely lead people to look elsewhere.
It really makes you wonder about the broader implications too, right? How might this affect U.S.-India relations?
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on.
Now let's shift gears geographically and turn our attention to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC for short. It's a nation facing a whole different set of challenges, but challenges that could have global repercussions.
The DRC is a massive country, the second largest in Africa, and it's incredibly rich in mineral resources, think cobalt, gold, diamonds. But it's also been plagued by instability for decades.
Yeah, it's a bit of a paradox, isn't it? So much potential, but also so much conflict.
Exactly, and the situation in the eastern part of the country is especially volatile right now. With the rise of this armed group called M23, they've been clashing with government forces, and it's causing widespread displacement and suffering.
A real humanitarian crisis unfolding.
Definitely.
So for our listeners out there, especially those preparing for the UPSC, here's a thought to ponder. Could this instability in the DRC have any implications for India? We're talking about a nation with a growing economy and an increasing demand for resources. Could there be economic or even strategic considerations at play?
It's a complex situation for sure, and one worth thinking about.
Absolutely. Now let's bring our focus back to India.
The 16th Finance Commission has just released the Fiscal Health Index, or FHI, for 2025.
Yeah, and it gives us a really interesting look at the financial well-being of 18 major Indian states.
And there are some real surprises in there.
Like Odisha topping the charts. Who would have thought? They've achieved the highest overall score, demonstrating some serious fiscal discipline.
It's a testament to their effective governance and prudent financial management. They've managed their debt well, implemented a solid revenue generation strategy, and really focused on efficient resource allocation.
And it's not just about balancing the books, right? They're investing in areas that actually benefit the people.
Exactly. The FHI uses sub-indices to give a more detailed picture. For example, quality of expenditure, Odisha scores really high here.
So it's about making sure those public funds are being used wisely to drive development.
Absolutely.
Now, while Odisha is setting a high bar, some states are facing some, well, let's just say they have some work to do.
The report calls them aspirational states, and they definitely have their work cut out for them.
Issues like low quality of expenditure, debt sustainability, things that need to be addressed to ensure their long-term financial health.
It's a reminder that fiscal responsibility is key for every state's progress and for the nation as a whole.
Definitely. Now, let's talk about something completely different, a discovery that's rewriting history as we know it. Remember that incredible finding about iron technology in Tamil Nadu?
Oh yeah, dating back to 3345 BCE. It's amazing.
It's a game changer. Iron working, potentially thriving in India while Europe was still in the Stone Age. It throws the whole traditional timeline of the Iron Age out the window.
Completely.
And it makes you wonder, what else is out there? What other hidden chapters of history are waiting to be uncovered?
The study was published in the journal Antiquity, and it highlights the incredible work of the archaeologists who made this discovery. They unearthed charcoal and potsherds dating back to 3345 BCE at a site called Sivagalai in Tamil Nadu.
And this, combined with discoveries of iron smelting furnaces at other sites, really paints a picture of a sophisticated iron industry in ancient India.
It really challenges that old assumption that iron technology spread from a single Western center.
And it speaks to the ingenuity and the technological advancements of our ancestors.
Absolutely.
Now let's connect this to a more recent event, the cancellation of the auction for the Arittapatti tungsten mineral block in Tamil Nadu.
A great decision, in my opinion. It shows a commitment to protecting the Arittapatti biodiversity heritage site.
It's such a unique place. Megalithic structures, ancient temples, rock-cut caves, you name it. A real testament to the rich cultural history of Tamil Nadu.
And it's Tamil Nadu's first biodiversity heritage site designated under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002.
This act empowers state governments to protect areas of ecological and cultural significance, so it's a good example of how policy can be used to preserve our heritage.
It's all about finding that balance between development and conservation.
Now, let's zoom out to the global stage for a moment and talk about cooperatives.
The UN has declared 2025 the International Year of Cooperatives.
A recognition of the vital role they play in promoting inclusive growth and sustainable development.
Exactly. Cooperatives are all about collaboration, community ownership, and shared benefits. And they have a long and rich history in India.
Absolutely. Think of Amul, a shining example of how farmers can come together to create a successful enterprise that benefits everyone involved.
It's a model that's relevant across various sectors.
So this International Year of Cooperatives is a chance to really showcase those success stories and learn from best practices around the world.
It's about revitalizing this model and harnessing its potential.
And speaking of empowerment, let's shift our attention to the DISHA scheme, designing innovative solutions for holistic access to justice.
A critical initiative focused on bridging the gap between the legal system and those who might struggle to access it.
Making sure every citizen, regardless of background or resources, has access to legal aid.
And there are some really innovative initiatives under this scheme. Take telelaw, for example. It connects people in remote areas with legal professionals through video conferencing.
Breaking down those geographical barriers.
Exactly. And then you have Nyaya Bandhu, which links people who need legal assistance with pro bono lawyers, ensuring that financial constraints don't prevent them from getting the help they need.
It's all about ensuring that the promise of justice, a core principle of our Constitution, becomes a reality for everyone.
Absolutely. A fitting topic for Republic Day.
Now, before we move on, let's take a quick look at some other interesting happenings from around the world.
Sure.
First up, in Sydney, Australia, a rare and rather peculiar plant known as the corpse flower has bloomed, attracting huge crowds.
It's known for its massive size and its, well, let's just say its unique aroma. Not exactly a pleasant smell.
Definitely not for the faint of heart. Meanwhile, back in India, the Indian Army has unveiled SANJAY, a state-of-the-art battlefield surveillance system developed in collaboration with Bharat Electronics Limited.
It's a significant advancement in India's defense capabilities, providing our troops with real-time situational awareness on the battlefield.
And on a more positive note, scientists in Switzerland have made a groundbreaking discovery in gene editing that could potentially cure Stargardt disease, a rare genetic eye condition that causes vision loss.
It's a testament to the incredible progress being made in medical research and the potential it holds to transform lives.
So we've got a rare flower, a military technology, a medical breakthrough, all seemingly unrelated, but all part of this interconnected world we live in. All right, welcome back for the final part of our deep dive. And we've got some really interesting topics to cover, ones that highlight how technology and policy are shaping the world around us.
Absolutely, stuff that's particularly relevant for you UPSC aspirants out there.
So let's jump right in with a development in the U.S. that's generating a lot of buzz, the president's executive order to essentially ban a central bank digital currency, or CBDC.
Yeah, pretty bold move.
Now, before we get into debate, let's make sure everyone's on the same page. What exactly is a CBDC?
It's basically digital cash, issued and backed by the central bank, just like physical currency. But unlike cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, a CBDC would be directly controlled by the government.
Ah, so that's where the controversy comes in.
Exactly. On one hand, you have proponents who see CBDCs as the future of finance. They talk about increased financial inclusion, lower transaction costs, enhanced security. But then there's the other side.
The folks who are a bit more skeptical.
Right. They're concerned about the potential for government overreach and surveillance. The idea that every transaction you make could be tracked and monitored.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Balancing those potential benefits with the potential risks to privacy and individual freedom.
Definitely. And it's the kind of complex policy issue that you, as a future civil servant, might have to grapple with.
So it's not just about understanding the technology, it's about understanding the broader implications, the ethical considerations.
Precisely.
And it's interesting to note that while the U.S. is hitting the brakes on a CBDC, India has actually already launched its own.
The e-rupee, right?
Yeah, introduced by the Reserve Bank of India back in 2022. It's meant to work alongside physical cash, not replace it. And the goal is to create a more efficient and inclusive payment system.
It'll be interesting to see how these two approaches evolve over time.
Definitely. Now let's shift gears to something a bit more customer-focused. The Reserve Bank Integrated Ombudsman Scheme, or RBIOS.
Yeah, this is a good one. It's all about making the financial system more responsive to customer complaints.
So let's say you're having a problem with your bank. You're facing delays, hidden charges, unresponsive customer service. In the past, it could be a real headache trying to get your issue resolved.
Right, you'd have to figure out which authority to complain to, navigate a bunch of different procedures. It could be really frustrating.
But the RBIOS streamlines the whole process, right?
Exactly. It's a one-stop shop for resolving complaints against a wide range of financial institutions. Commercial banks, regional rural banks, cooperative banks, even non-banking financial companies, and digital transactions.
So no more running from pillar to post.
Nope. It's all about making it easier for customers to seek redressal.
Which is so important, especially in a country like India, where financial inclusion is a top priority.
Absolutely. Building trust in the financial system, making sure people feel protected.
Now let's talk about something that's crucial for India's economic growth infrastructure. Specifically, the Inland Waterways Authority of India, or IWAI.
Yeah, they're the folks responsible for developing and regulating inland water transport in India.
So basically, they're turning our vast network of rivers and canals into efficient transportation corridors.
Exactly. And they've just opened a new regional office in Varanasi, which is strategically located on the banks of the Ganges.
So this is part of that push to develop national waterways, particularly the Ganga, as a major cargo route.
Right. It's about utilizing our waterways to reduce congestion on roads and railways, lower transportation costs, and, of course, minimize our carbon footprint.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up this Republic Day special, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from international events to ancient discoveries to cutting-edge technology and policy initiatives. And it might seem like a random collection of topics.
But there's a common thread running through it all.
Exactly. Everything is connected. And as a UPSC aspirant and as a future leader, it's crucial to understand those connections, to see the bigger picture.
It's about being able to analyze events, identify patterns, and think critically about the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
So keep learning, keep exploring, stay curious, and most importantly, never stop asking questions.
And happy Republic Day once again to all our listeners.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.